Fascinating. Girlby, will you please get me your finest confetti to celebrate this momentous occasion? You're supposed to remove the green screen. You know what? Never mind. You did your best. I'm proud of you. I can't think of a clever intro to transition into this, so let's just talk about the game. Shadow of the Forbidden Gods is a strategy game where you get to play as an Eldritch god and manipulate people and nations into your ultimate goal of world destruction. Now, this is technically the third game in the series. I've played Shadow Behind the Thrones 2, which has an extremely close gameplay to this one, but felt very clunky and unfinished. But Bobby once again takes my money with what I hope will be a finished game, unlike the previous one. There's a lot of stuff to take in when you first play the game, so let's just get the boring part over with. You're a god, but your grip on this reality is not perfect, which is why you need your agents. The agent's main job is to infiltrate, weaken, and manipulate the overworld to make things easier for you. Agents can do tasks called challenges. Challenges require the agent to stay in the same location for a while to work on it, but it can be done faster if whatever agent you have is proficient in whatever skill they need to do it. Challenges can go from infiltrating a village to robbing a vault, poisoning someone, or straight up kill a man. However, whenever they work on a challenge, people tend to notice. Profile is how easy to notice someone is. The higher it is, the farther away someone can see them. Menace is how dangerous they are deemed to be. A high menace unit with no profile will basically be invisible to everyone that isn't on the same tile. And someone with high profile but no menace won't really have anyone care about them, even if everyone can see them from a mile away. Nearly all challenges your agents will do will raise both, but profile tend to be easier to lower than menace. But who will stop the high menace units? Well, the heroes, of course. Heroes are like agents except that they don't work for you, but they don't necessarily always work against you either. Heroes have a bunch of actions they can take, and they decide which action they decide to take by weighing the pros and cons of doing that action. Whichever action has more pros than cons is the action they will take. So for example, if one of your agents has high menace, then stopping them is high priority. If they see that their hometown is in trouble, they are more likely to help there than any other place. If one of your agents kills someone they care about, they will prioritize disrupting that agent over other agents. Now, heroes are kind of better than your agents in many regards, and while heroes can gain profile, they rarely gain menace because, well, they are the good guys, they don't do the type of stuff that would make them seem dangerous. So they essentially get to level up without making any enemies, while your agents will have to be constantly on the move, racking up menace and profile left and right as more and more people start hunting them down. But what your agents lack in raw power, they make up for in flexibility. An agent will instantly level up when they get enough XP, and if damaged, can resupply almost anywhere that isn't hostile. But heroes have to go back to their hometown, where they will almost always go back to rest and need to do a special challenge to level up. This means that it's really rare for a hero to go far from their hometown because it requires a lot of backtracking, which is usually a waste of time for them. Alright, that's cool, we got agents and heroes, but how do we win? Well, it depends on the god you're playing as, and we'll talk about the different gods and their strategies later. For now, let's talk about the core mechanics they all share. Let's talk about Enshadowment. Is that a real word? That doesn't sound like a real word. Enshadowment is essentially how corrupted by your influence someone or something is. Any place that is unshadowed will start spreading that shadow nearby. Any ruler that is in an enshadowed place will be slowly corrupted too. Enshadowment is extremely important to every god, because it does a lot of things that makes it a whole lot harder for heroes to properly fight you. For one, an enshadowed person will simply not care about your agents or your influence. Fully enshadowed heroes can even be hijacked and turned into agents, which is great because you get a lot of the perks that heroes have as one of your agents, and also one less hero to worry about. Now, I have mentioned rulers. Rulers are kind of like static heroes, they don't really move on the map like agents, but still take actions based on pros and cons for the place they rule over. Stuff like taxes, reducing unrest, or funding heroes. Unshadowed ruler can't technically be controlled directly like heroes can, but it's still very useful to have them corrupted. Now, there are multiple counters to Enshadowment, but the main one is the Chosen One. The Chosen One is a massive thorn in your side.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here.
They cannot be enshadowed, and they are 100% aware of how dangerous you are. Awareness is essentially the opposite of shadow. The more aware someone is of how dangerous your god truly is, the more likely they are to act against you above all else. Although someone fully enshadowed, even if aware, will still not care. The Chosen One starts fully aware and will try to make every ruler and heroes they come across aware too. Not just that, but the Chosen One can redeem rulers and remove all shadow the ruler on place has, while normal heroes can usually just reduce the shadow a little. The Chosen One is powerful and will usually not be affected by any of your powers or agents. However, while the Chosen One may have plot armor, everything around him doesn't. So the best strategy is to destroy everything they hold dear. Destroy their hometown, turn their friends against them. The Chosen One may be powerful, but they can't be everywhere at once, and eventually, they will break. Anyway, to win, your god needs to have their victory bar at 100%. This can be filled up by how much is destroyed or enshadowed, or whatever unique victory condition your god may have. There's also another bar called the word panic. The higher it is, and the more people will be scared of you and will prioritize stopping you.
I'm not alone in the dark. I'm not alone anywhere. She's here, she's everywhere I go. I'm not running, and yet it feels like I'm out of breath no matter what I do. My fight or flight senses are constantly on high alert, like I'm about to die at any moment. Nowhere is safe. Nothing is safe from her.
She Who Will Feast, or Girlboss as I like to call her, is about brute forcing your way into places and mass spreading shadow to weaken everyone and being everywhere at once. And when the time is right, kill everyone you come across until you win. She is the only god you can play at first and the closest thing you'll get to a tutorial god. Her powers serve a pretty clear purpose and it's to get shit done. Is a hero progressing a little too fast for your liking? Not anymore. Is the place not infiltrated and the high security makes it hard for your agents to get in? Not an issue. Is a hero doing the unforgivable crime of playing the game on easy mode? Give them a surprise difficulty spike. Are you lacking an agent for something and your agent slots are full? No matter, simply take a hero's shadow and make them work for you. I'm sure no one will notice a shadow person going out shopping for kitchen knives. Once enough time has passed, she will awaken. She is a small military unit that grows bigger and stronger every turn. Human armies will try to destroy her, and if she dies, you also lose the game. But from here on out, your main goal should be to slay as many places as possible like the girl boss you are. While she is described as a tutorial god that is meant to fit many gameplay styles, I do not think that is true. She's actually quite hard to get a hang of, and you need a pretty good understanding of the mechanics to make the most of her. And while she technically does not have a unique victory condition, I'd say your main goal with her would be to weaken as many armies as possible. Your snake is not that strong and will easily get destroyed by any armies worth their salt, so having no human armies means you can freely wreak havoc without being turned into snake soup. Now, I wouldn't say the game's main goal is winning as it is to have fun, but since you need to beat one game with her to unlock the other gods, let me tell you a pretty good strategy if you are stuck. First, find the biggest nation you can think of, then infiltrate the capital. I propose taking a courtier and picking the trait that gives him a metric ton of money, so you can bribe every guard and infiltrate the place even faster. Step 2. Take a hero feint and give him a lore upgrade, then use the Gospel of Envy. This will make the ruler prone to ambition and dislike cooperation. Use Gospel of Envy again, it will turn those traits into an obsession. Ambition is a funny trait, it makes people think they are the most important people on earth. Ruler will now proceed to post their questionable text on Twitter, which will inevitably lead to war. Two things can now happen. The first is that they somehow win the war, but the massive bloated nation that they now have is riddled with unrest and political instability, which will inevitably lead to a civil war. The second thing that can happen is that they lose, and realizing that they no longer have any army to fight their war with, will start posting an apology video saying they were merely pretending to be a tyrant and this was just all one big misunderstanding. In either cases, the world war has left all sides weakened in unrest and at odds with each other, which is the perfect opportunity for you to swoop in and finish the job.
This is a story about how the hero saved the princess. The hero was kidnapped by the demon lord, and it's when the princess had to go on a quest to rescue him from the hero. Of course, she met many enemies along the way, many were slaughtered, of course, but it was a price to pay. The demon lord kept the hero and princess apart as part of the rules, a status quo, if you will. It was not out of evil, but out of duty, you understand, yes? The rules must be respected even if you don't understand them, even if you don't know them. So the princess goes back to her hometown and slaughters the king. The king that allowed it to happen, it was his fault, was it not? Was the king not mentioned? He need not be mentioned. He's part of the story at all, you know. So when the hero was consumed by the
In order to play Lastur, you need to understand that there is nothing that your agents can do that heroes can do to each other, that having a plan is overrated, and that everyone already wants to kill each other anyway, so all you're doing is giving them a good reason to act on it. Lastur's main gimmick is madness, which affects sanity. When someone's sanity reaches 0, they gain a random obsession and the insane trait, which makes them do actions such as doing great financial decisions, augment unrest by spreading conspiracy theories,
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay,
and generally being a loose cannon that is a nuisance to everyone else. Now here's why I prefer driving heroes insane rather than unshadowing them. Enshadowment can be reverted, not just by the chosen one, but by other heroes, but madness cannot. If a hero goes insane, they are a loose cannon forever, and given enough time and insane heroes, you can make everyone work against each other with the dumbest obsessions, and they will never get anything done. Not just that, but the chosen one is not immune to madness, even if he is harder to affect than normal heroes. Introducing Lastur's fanfiction that drives insane anyone who reads it. Lastur can only gain power while he is being validated by someone reading his fanfic, so the book needs to be constantly deployed and read. However, heroes might decide to use copyright strikes to bind the tome and use it against you in the court of law, which will make you lose power. So it's good to always have a backup plan when a hero is about to sue you, as that can actually lose you the game. While She Who Will Feast is mostly based on weakening entire nations, Lastur is much better at pitting heroes against each other. You aren't as focused on Enshadowment as others, and most of your powers are based around manipulating people into thinking what you want. However, because of the random obsessions people get from insanity, it's good to understand that a lot of playing Lastur is taking popcorn and watching as everything falls apart over the pettiest of misunderstandings. As every hero is turned into a parody of themselves, and they manage to sow more chaos than your agents could ever hope to. Lastur also has a unique victory condition. Once he awakens, he will start his Doki Doki Literature Club, which requires you to read his fanfic in his lair a few times, which will make you instantly win. Of course, doing this creates a lot of menace on profile, and people will try to stop you. So hopefully you've made heroes too busy killing each other to care. But you can also just make a different agent read the book every time, which feels kind of cheesy, but you know, it works. In the end, Lastur is pretty fun, but lacks a lot of direct control. And it's very easy to have insane heroes end up working against you because they got the wrong obsession, but if you want a god specialized in messing with heroes, he's certainly the god you want.
It's just that everything was falling apart around me. I was broke, sick, and then a solution appeared, a miracle of sorts. I didn't stop to think if it was too good to be true. I just took that opportunity, and everything was perfect. I was rich, powerful. I was a god, damn it! Everyone has their price, you know. You're all acting so high and mighty, but if you were in my situation, you would have done the same. It's just... it sounded like such a good deal at the time.
Vinerva is about the capitalist ideal of offering goods and services to people, except instead of money, they pay with their soul. Vinerva is one of my favorite gods and kind of a meme. She embodies the devil's deal archetype of trying to make people buy your bullshit deals, and it feels fantastic when someone finally gives in and accepts your deal. Vinerva's gimmick is that she gives gifts to rulers and sometimes heroes. If a ruler makes the mistake of accepting your gift, the ruler's soul gets corrupted. This doesn't do anything by itself, but you can consume that gift later to do a bunch of stuff, such as instantly unshadowing the ruler or driving everyone insane. The hard part is convincing them to accept your gift, which comes in many forms. You can only offer gifts to places that are near your forest. You can expand the forest, but it costs more and more power points to do every time, so you should choose the first few locations you expand to wisely. Once you've done that, you have to choose a gift. The first gift you get, and in my opinion, the best one, is the Grove of the Golden Roses. The Golden Roses is, from the point of view of rulers, basically a free money cheat. And for you, well, it's also a free money cheat. Because every nation needs gold, it makes it an extremely efficient way of getting corruption, but it's one that becomes less and less viable as world panic and awareness rises. Awareness is usually bad, but doubly so for Vinerva. The more aware people are, the less likely they are to take your gifts. Which is why you need to get as many gifts accepted as possible before people realize that maybe selling your soul for free Robux is not a good idea. There is a bunch of other gifts, of course, one that reduces unrest, one that fixes the hunger problem, which is extremely effective against rulers that had their farming village coincidentally raided prior to it, and generally anything anyone can need, you can provide. Everyone has a price they are willing to pay, and it's up to you to find which one, even if it can take some convincing. Vinerva also has gifts she can give to heroes. This doesn't corrupt them the same way as rulers, however. One gift reduces the level of shadow they have, but reduces their sanity. I've said before how much I usually prefer sanity loss over Enshadowment, so it's a really efficient gift if many heroes are affected, and they will consider it more and more of a good deal as they slowly get unshadowed. Another gift gives them a lot of might, but makes them addicted. The gift will give less and less might as they consume more and more of it, and eventually they will do nothing but consume your gift. The might makes them pretty dangerous if they decide to hunt down your agents, but it's also really easy to convince a hero to take this gift by killing a loved one or doing anything that makes getting free power sound like a good idea. A little before she awakens, she gets to completely destroy places she has enough corruption on, severely augmenting her victory bar. What I do is I usually offer a bunch of gifts to unshadowed places and start spamming manifest. Really, everything you do before this is to set up your mass manifestation. Once you fully awaken, you get the ability to create wilderness spirits who will start destroying every non-unshadowed places. It's fine, I guess. It doesn't really synergize with your gifts in any way, but sure, why not? It's one of the most disappointing awakening in the entire game, to be honest. Anyway, I love Vinerva. She fully embraces the idea of manipulation by giving shady deals and making people regret it later. I wish we had more gods like this. We might eventually when Mammon gets released. Until then, she will stay my favorite god.
Ah, I see. You have some doubts, don't you? Unsure where to go, what to do. I was like you once. But those emotions, those thoughts, they are unfortunate, are they not? But if you just accepted him... No? That is unfortunate. I am sorry, but we cannot let doubt take root. One bad apple and the entire system may get bad ideas. May you find solace in his divine embrace and infinite mercy.
Ophanim, the divine beyond, is what the atheism subreddit thinks what religion is, and atheists are also your biggest enemies, so that checks out. As I've said before, most gods benefit from spreading shadow, and while Ophanim still benefits from it, he interacts with it differently. Ophanim's main gimmick is spreading your objectively superior religion. You can start your religion in any place you have infiltrated in any way, even if it's not complete infiltration. You measure how much people believe in it by faith. Eventually, your faith will start spreading, and it grows faster the more faithful neighbor they have, or how many places are unshadowed. You see, your religion promises something. Safety from the darkness. Whatever places that has faith will get rid of shadow really fast, but the faith will grow even faster because of it. You're both the poison and the medicine. However, there is something you should be worried about. Doubt. You see, some people might see that everyone starts believing in that religion that you literally just made up, and might start having doubts. The more doubt there is, the less your faith will grow, and it might even decrease when the doubters outnumber the faithful. This is why you need to convince the doubters of the superiority of your faith and that you mean no harm. It's really important to constantly check for doubters, as doubts grow really fast and can easily stop your game before it even starts. Once you have enough faith, it's time to take over. A nation with enough faith can have all cities with enough faith rebel and create their own theocracy. So it's good to get a tight grip on this part of the region before starting to overthrow the government, as Christian believers might start fighting back against the Lord and Savior that you are. Then you can start expanding. Rapidly. Your servant's army is more powerful than a normal army, but they aren't invincible. This is why you want to build up your army fast by spreading your faith to a lot of places if possible. Ophanim has a lot of powers that allow agents to speedrun everything. Move faster, work harder at the cost of health, and a few other powers that will help you get rid of doubt, such as declaring a heretic and magically fixing devastation that you caused to show how cool your religion is. Do try to work as far away from the chosen one as possible though. They are probably going to start building an alliance, and if that gets out of hand, you will be met with overwhelming resistance on your holy and morally justifiable crusade. But yeah, Ophanim is a pretty cool god, and seeing your faith spreads feels really nice, but it's also really easy to forget. Some places have growing doubts, and watch as your entire religion dies in like 10 turns. Alright, also when you awaken, you can fucking do this. I forgot, it's not like that viable, but it's really funny to do. Now, there is a bunch of stuff I haven't mentioned, like the different agents, magic, and every other way you can mess up people's lives, but it's better if you discover it for yourself. And the game is still in development, so new gods and mechanics will show up eventually. The game is still very rough around the edges, it likes to annoy you with pop-ups every 5 seconds, and a lot of the time it can feel as if you spam enter waiting for things to happen. But it's still one of the best god and social manipulation simulator I've ever played, and I'd recommend it if anything I've said sounds interesting. That type of game is really unique and actually executed pretty well, so I'd feel bad not promoting it at least a little.